That was pretty good rendition without hearing the music, I think.
Was that the ESPN highlight music?
No, that would be sick though. Imagine we start our pod that way. It's the hypest music that's in the world. The hypest music in the world is the fastest 2 minute music with Chris Berman.
Yeah, I think that's actually my favorite like little highlight theme across any sport that I can think of right now.
It's elite. It's absolutely elite.
It's the best.
Another one that I can think of that would compete for the best like sports soundtrack is the Chicago Bulls intro.
You know, can't say I'm familiar with that. No.
Oh, you know it.
I do.
And now,
oh yeah,
starting at small forward, number 23, Michael.
Emo Jimmy Butler.
Anyways, yeah, we had to resort to like the free shit on Boomcaster, but I did try, as you might remember, I tried to do Red Hot Chili Peppers, but that didn't work. And then that was our first pod.
Yeah, didn't we have it on one? I thought we did.
We did, but it was so bad. I was like, we're eventually YouTube is gonna call us out for it. So, actually, Boomcaster has like a good amount of free music that you can put on the pod. So, anyways, man, so dude, the Cowboys. It was so fun watching that game. And what's hilarious about that game and this weekend is they still have a chance to make the playoffs. They can make the playoffs in that division at 9-8.
They were celebrating like they could. So yeah.
What if this is the story? The beginning of a weird momentum swing with Cooper Rush at quarterback.
I mean, I guess you never know, right? It seems like online, a bunch of Cowboys fans are just complaining that we don't even know how to tank properly, and I guess that's fair. But in the NFL, I don't think that's really a thing. Like, teams want to win, right? And I'm not going to complain about a Cowboys win. And it's not like we plan on drafting a quarterback, I don't think. So
yeah, you're stuck with Dak.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, how old is Trey Lance? Like 20 years old?
I think he's like 36, 37.
Hey, Jamie.
I don't know.
Did she get it?
Yeah, she responded. She said hi.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
She's grabbing noodle.
Actually, you're right. There's not really like tanking because if you think about it, like the difference between pick 32 and pick 101, like Cooper DeJean, right? The corner for the Eagles. He was pick like 100 and something, second round pick. I mean, that pick is really good.
Yeah.
And if you're tanking for a better position in the first round, like how much of a difference are we talking? I feel like it's really top heavy in the first round. Like the first 10 picks are really valuable, but then after that, everything's pretty much the same. So if you're tanking for the first top 10, like for a quarterback and a quarterback heavy draft, maybe it makes sense, but for the most part, like it's not worth the risk. I think you're better off like building a lot of draft capital because you can get a really talented team with a shit ton of third and fourth round picks.
Oh yeah. I mean, like you said, it's like a logarithmic scale at the top.
Yeah.
And it kind of follows that pattern, not just in the first round, but throughout the draft. So obviously you want a higher pick. Yeah, of course. But statistically, like picking 15th versus 13th is not going to be a huge difference. So yeah, just try to win your games. Try to make the playoffs if you can. Cowboys definitely will, right? So glad they won. We should talk about the actual, huh?
We can talk about the actual what?
The actual finish, which was insane.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. After this game, do you actually like you're a Cowboys fan, right? Do you
Yeah,
actually
no, I
feel
don't. I
like you
don't.
have a chance now with this
No,
team?
no, I was being sarcastic. Sorry. Of course not. But it's nice to win one, especially against a division rival.
Yeah, your boy went online in the locker room. When I say your boy, I'm talking about Micah Parsons, of course. And he was talking a lot of coach speak, saying how big of a win this was. This locker room doesn't ever quit. These guys have no quit in them, I think is what he said. Did you buy that?
Uh, no. If anything, I feel worse about the locker room after you telling me that.
Really?
Yeah,
It's
but
crazy that Mike's not what's his name? The head coach doesn't his seat's not hotter right now.
I think it is. I think it was
You
kind of
think?
hot coming into the year. I thought.
I guess you just don't hear about it on the media very much.
Really? Yeah. I don't know.
So do you think McCarthy's seat is hot right now, but the media is just not talking about it?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just not consuming enough of the right content. But just from like the Cowboys beat vibes, not just this year, but even last year, it felt like he was kind of on borrowed time if we didn't finally make the jump and like get to a Super Bowl, which we're definitely not going to do.
Definitely
And
not.
yeah, no. And to be honest, I kind of thought there was a chance he might get sacked mid-season. Obviously, that probably won't happen because I think it would have by now, but I don't really expect him to be the coach next year if I was a betting man. What do you think?
Well, you're part of the Reddit discussion boards with the Cowboys, right? Like, what's the feel with that subreddit right now?
Well, I'm officially not subbed, which I guess I should do, but they do show up on my feed, and it seems like most of the discussion that I've seen is like around Jerry Jones because we just love to complain. Not to say it's not valid. I hate Jerry Jones as much as anyone, but there's really nothing we can do. But that's not to say that like we don't hate McCarthy. The fans hate McCarthy for sure. I don't know. You raise a good point. Maybe he does have a chance to come back. I just even Jerry himself, I think, said some comments like over the offseason that he was expecting better than what we've done these last two seasons where we have good regular seasons and then just shit the bed in January. And this has just gone far worse than he would have hoped.
You can say that again.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because like outside of Jerry's bubble, no one's really that surprised. So yeah, so I just those tea leaves lead me to believe he's done for. But
Well, the Cowboys don't have like a track record for firing coaches early into their regime, right? Like Jason Garrett was a bad coach for a long time. For what, like 4 years at minimum?
he was awful, but he presented at least to like a simpleton like Jerry. He presented as being I don't know right on the cusp or whatever because he kept going 8-8. And I think Jerry also just really likes continuity. But McCarthy's been here for like, I don't know, 5 years now. I think he's about fed up, just like we all are with him. Maybe I'm wrong, but I have seen some whispers of like, oh, Belichick. Granted, that's all speculation, but it wouldn't surprise me at all because that's the kind of name that Jerry Jones wants, you know?
I don't think Belichick would ever go for it personally, but what do I know? Well, back to the game. Uh, I can't even tell you if there was any like questionable coaching decisions. I just felt like the team, the Cowboys were looking for ways to lose, and it was overall just a really amusing game to watch. Exciting, but amusing overall because it was sloppy. It was all over the place. And it got really exciting in the last, 8 minutes. They had 4 touchdowns in the total of 3 minutes.
Yeah, real quick, why don't we recap the major things that went down at the end of that game?
Well, the first half was a 10-7 game, and I was like, oh, this game's definitely going to go under. This is looking like a 17-10 type of game. And it was full of turnovers. Daniels wasn't playing well. I wouldn't say the defense. I just felt like both offenses weren't playing very well, except I would say Cooper Rush wasn't terrible. He just wasn't. He was just whelming. He wasn't under.
That's the right word. Yeah, I think he was just like checking it down, dinking and dunking.
Made his stats look
his
really
way.
good.
Yeah. There was no no explosive plays in either direction.
No.
I think CD had like 10 catches for like 50 yards.
Yeah, they weren't throwing downfield at all. They were just dinking and dunking. So you look at the stats for the Cowboys, and they're inflated a little bit, but they don't really tell the whole story. For the most part, they were conservative. Dowdle was effective, but not explosive. They were just doing enough to stay in the game. They weren't doing a whole lot to win the game. And I saw the commies like just making lots of mistakes, but they were definitely trying to make the explosive play. And that's just the type of player Daniels is. He gives you those chances. And, he was running a lot more compared to last week. And he made some bad throws. So it looked like the commies were a better team. They were just playing a Cowboys team that finally played a little bit better with less mistake-free football. And that's what kept them in the game.
Yeah, and their defense. I feel like their defense is
finally had a good game, right?
Solid, yeah.
How was Parsons? I actually don't remember what his effect on the game was. I remember he got hurt a little bit, right?
I didn't really notice him that much either, which tells me he wasn't great, but I did kind of tune out at certain parts, so maybe I'm fibbing.
Dude, it wasn't Parsons that picked him off, but some defensive lineman picked off Daniels. But it was a pass to Nick Nichols in a screen, and it bounces right off his hands and right into the lap of a Cowboys D lineman. It was shocking because at first I thought it looked like Jaden just threw it right to the defensive lineman, but the ball was just not bouncing their way.
The end of the game?
It was it was in the second half.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know who that was. Some random dude. Yeah, Daniels didn't have his best game. No. If he did, I think it would have been over pretty quickly.
You know what? I think I just had a thought that's new, a new thought. I think Cliff Kingsbury, the offensive coordinator for the Commies, he's starting to look like the offensive coordinator he was with the Cardinals, Kyler Murray. Like, I remember when he was with Kyler, he became predictable near the second half of the season, and then he lost his job. I feel like that's happening again. I think the Commies are starting to get figured out by defenses. I mean, this is historically one of the worst defenses Dallas has had in its history, and they looked good against the Commies. And I'm starting to think it could be a Cliff Kingsbury thing.
I think there's something there for sure. I was never a big Kingsbury guy, although I was kind of starting to maybe change my tune a little bit. And now, like you said, now they're sucking a little bit.
You're again losing streak.
Yeah. I will say, I mean, I hate the Cowboys, even though I'm their fan. Give them some credit though, just the defense, because it's not like they're without any talent, and they are getting a couple guys back. I think obviously Parsons. Overshone seems like he's really grown into his role. I know Lawrence is still out, Bland's still out.
They still
But
have good talent.
yeah, it's not the least talented defense in the league. I'll say that.
Right.
And I think maybe they're like patching together something presentable. I don't know. Even though they still suck. But the NFL is so weird. It's like it feels like every year there's teams that are just complete ass, and then the last 5 or 6 weeks of the season they kind of get hot like way too late and they just destroy their draft position. And I think the Cowboys might be that team this year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the Panthers have done that the last couple seasons. And
Oh,
maybe
I
this
remember.
season too.
Well, no, wait. It wasn't the Panthers. It was who was the team that fucked up their number 1 draft pick? Was it the Colts? Because remember, Bryce Young got. Wait, no.
It was the
Bryce Young was
Texans.
was part of the DJ Moore trade.
Yeah, it was
Okay,
the
it was the
Texans.
Panthers.
And then they
The
got
Panthers won a
Stroud.
game with Baker Mayfield when they shouldn't have, right? And lost the number 1 spot. Am I thinking of the right team?
I don't know. Now I'm confused. I know the Texans 2 years ago won the last game to like lose the number 1 spot. And then that was a whole ordeal online. But then they drafted Stroud at number 2 overall, and that worked out. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds right. But I know what you mean with teams coming on strong near the end of the year. Look too little, too late, and they just screw up their draft stock. But at the same time, like, does it even matter? Because there's not really any tanking. We're not talking about a huge difference unless you really need a quarterback. That's when it matters. Is when you really need a quarterback.
Right. Exactly.
I do think a team that qualifies for this description is the Niners. Like, they're not playing well right now, but their talent is still there. And I could see them piecing together a little run because that division is wide open. The NFC West is wide open. They got their asses whooped this weekend. What was it, like 38-10 against
they look like shit.
A formidable rushing attack. Josh Jacobs is a monster. 3 touchdowns for him. But yeah, the Niners, they got McCaffrey back, so everybody knows they're lethal when he is on the field. And it's going to come down to their defense. Okay, listen to this stat. I think I forwarded it to you on Instagram. They are, in the first quarter, the Niners, DVOA is second in the league in the first quarter. In the second quarter, they dropped down to 8th. Still respectable, right? In the third quarter, they dropped down to the 21st DVOA. And then in the fourth quarter, they go down all the way to the 31st DVOA in the NFL on defense. They're literally running out of gas. That defense has the talent, but for some reason they're unable to hang in the game in games, no matter who they play. And it's interesting to me because this is not the defense that the San Francisco has been notorious for over the past 5 years.
No, that's so wild, actually. Maybe it's like a coaching thing too, / game plan.
Hey,
like,
I'm going to agree with that, dude.
Yeah, I kind of regret giving Shanahan all the flowers earlier this year because, oh my God, they look so bad. And it's not just the defense. You say that like McCaffrey comes back and we all expect him to do great, but the offense also looked like shit this weekend. And I understand Brock Purdy's out, so that's going to limit them for sure. But I expect Shanahan, like his whole deal is you give him a quarterback that can walk and he makes it work. I mean, he has Mr. Irrelevant out there playing for MVP. And they still have Trent Williams. Wait, did he get hurt? Actually, I think they have him. Yeah, he's out there, right?
Well, he's out there, but I don't think they have this guy named Kyle Allen, I think, the quarterback. He was bad.
He's awful. But they have McCaffrey and they have receivers. I was gonna say they have Debo. Debo's had an awful year, man.
Oh, dude, I'm glad you brought him up. I wrote
Yeah.
down um, since the bye week, Debo has done the following: 10 catches, 0 touchdowns, 3 drops, 13 rush yards, 105 receiving yards. He dropped a ball in this last game against the Packers. He dropped a ball that went right through his hands and turned into an interception. And he told his kicker to lock in. I actually am surprised to see this because I've seen like interviews of Debo and think to myself, this is a good dude. I like being a fan of him. I remember rooting for him really hard when in the NFC Championship game when Robbie Gould kicked the game winner against Green Bay when they still had Rodgers in Green Bay. It was snowing really hard, and it was a game where it showed the world how awesome Debo Samuel is. They kept giving him the ball in the backfield, and he was just breaking tackle after tackle. He was an absolute monster. It was so fun to watch. And ever since then, I was like, dude, he is the man. But this season, dude, he's been such a diva.
Yeah.
Who was it? I think it was Ocho Cinco that went on record and no.
Who was it? T.O.
It was
wait, was it T.O.?
It was T.O. It was T.O. You're right.
You're
right. It was Terrell Owens. He said Debo seems to be distracted with his fashion, and if he wasn't, if he was more locked in, he'd be catching these balls and he'd be having a better season. And I think he's kind of right.
Yeah.
He seems distracted. Doesn't seem like the same player that would make electric play, at least 2 electric plays per game. He's not really doing that. No, okay, credit where credit's due, dude. He had an awesome return because they're finding ways to get him the ball, so they put him in at kick returner. But still, point is he's not making enough plays.
Well, even when he was like peak Debo, he's never been someone that wins one-on-one down the field and burns someone in man coverage.
Mm-mm.
He's
one
more
of
of like
route runners in the league.
Yeah, his game was all gadget plays, like you said, get in the backfield, play as a running back sometimes. I think one year they actually put him as a full-time running back when they were like, everyone was hurt, and he destroyed the Cowboys that way.
We might be thinking of the same season.
Yeah, yes. I think we are. And he's also like pretty good in zone, and that's where he gets his money. And it feels like they've stopped looking his way. I guess rightfully so if he's playing so bad.
His lack of receiver skills are really showing, dude.
Yeah, seriously. And with age, like his little yards after the catch game is not going to age that well. And I feel like that's playing out. I don't know. I kind of like Debo too. At least I used to. So I hope he gets his shit together, but it's not a good look right now.
Yeah. And Kittle, I think he looks great. And
Kittle does look great.
Yeah.
Not literally.
They have injuries, but everybody has injuries, and they can't really make that excuse. Somebody said in the post-game interviews with the Packers and Niners, like the Niners can't make that excuse. A Packer said this because, we, as in the Packers, we didn't even have our quarterback, and we're still out there winning games. That was an interesting comment to me because Jordan Love is having a bad year. I mean, he's been intercepted in each of his first 8 games this season. He's the first quarterback to do that since Case Keenum in 2018, and the first quarterbacks in the Packers since 1944. He's making $23 million a year. Second season.
I didn't really buy all the Jordan Love hype last year. He played really well down the stretch.
He threw very little interceptions.
Right. He took care of the ball, is what he did. And he was hitting open guys. And I feel like the Packers' success is as much tied to their offensive line and then Matt LaFleur's offensive mind as it is any individual talent.
It's really carrying them right now, man.
Yeah. LaFleur is kind of a beast.
Dude. Yeah. He may not be getting enough credit right now for taking this team as far as they're 8-3, man.
They're good.
Vikings
And their
are
defense is
9-2.
solid.
They've been playing well. They've been playing above their talent level because I actually think Jair Alexander's hurt. But
Oh, is he?
Quay Walker, the edge rusher, has been playing out of his mind, and yeah, schematically they've really been playing above their talent level. So
Yeah, that division is like the opposite of the West. The North, I mean.
yeah,
Except for the Bears.
the Bears, dude, the Bears. Okay, so they're playing this Thursday, right? They're going into Detroit. Guess what that line was? The
That's
Vegas
fun.
line.
I'm gonna guess minus 11.5 for Detroit. Is that on the money?
I'm laughing because it's so many points. No, you're short. You're short points.
Wait, what? What is it?
It's 13.5.
Oh my gosh.
13.5 points.
I wanted to say minus 12.5, but I was like, no, there's just no way. Dear
And you know
God.
what's fun? You know what's crazy about that? I would bet on Detroit before I bet on giving
Oh, absolutely.
Chicago 13.5 points.
I'm not touching Chicago. And yeah, the Lions are just automatic money.
Yeah. I'm waiting for that moment when Detroit starts to go down. But they have to eventually, right?
Maybe.
I had a good weekend this weekend. And I'm bracing myself though, because I'm like, when is Detroit going to stop?
They're not going to stop.
You really think that?
I mean, I'm kind of pulling your toes a little bit, but who?
Hey, don't do that.
It's like week after week we have the same conversation. You know,
I
wouldn't be holding my breath if I were you. I would just not bet them.
Just blind bet until they lose.
Or just keep doing the same thing, yeah. And then keep telling yourself it'll happen the next week.
Yeah, it's something I wish I did at the beginning of the season, man. The most complete team. It's not even close. They won a game, what was it, 24-6 this weekend?
Yeah, it was really boring because the Colts suck.
Them.
Dude, watching the Colts makes me hate football.
What specifically? Is it Richardson?
It's largely Richardson. It's Shane Steichen, who I've really grown to not like at all as someone who owns Jonathan Taylor in fantasy. I just don't understand what he's trying to do out there at all. Like, yes, Richardson sucks. So why don't
He's
you?
a hell of a running back.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know. It feels like they have no creativity in their play calling, and I don't want to talk too much about it. Their O-line also sucks, to be fair. I think they've had some injuries on the interior line, but it's like he's doing the same thing over and over again in spite of the injuries, in spite of the fact that Richardson struggles to throw with any consistency, with any accuracy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I hate watching them. I watch them because, they're playing the Lions, and I live in Detroit, so.
Yeah. Yeah, the Detroit, it was more of to me, I felt like it was Detroit just imposing their will against Indianapolis. I know Indianapolis is bad, but Detroit has shown that they can win every type of game. They can win a shootout. Yeah. They can stifle you defensively, shut you out, and win a game 24 to whatever. They can win a close game. They can come back like they did against the Texans. They can come back and beat you. But they're not invincible. Lest we forget, they lost to Tampa Bay at home in Detroit. And I mean, we know Tampa Bay is a pretty decent team, but still, point is, like, if they get away from their run game and they solely throw the ball at Jared Goff, they get into trouble. And I think when they play a good run defense in the NFC North, when they play the Vikings, I'm wondering what's going to happen. Like, that defense is going to shut down. In my opinion, they're going to shut down the run game. So is Goff going to throw a lot? I'm curious how they're going to handle that. What do you think?
I think that's a fun hypothetical because you're right. There's the line. I mean, the Vikings defense is legit, but as much as I respect Brian Flores, I respect Ben Johnson more, and I agree. Like, I don't think anyone wants Jared Goff to have to carry them.
Yeah.
But on the other side, I'd much rather have Goff than Sam Darnold. So
that's for sure.
I think, for one thing, the Lions, if this plays out and like they were to meet in the playoffs, it'd be in Detroit, right? That'd be helpful. And like I said, I just think Ben Johnson will come up with some kind of scheme to help get Jahmyr Gibbs into space and to help get Laporta or St. Brown. And that's the other thing. I mean, I know we've talked about this repeatedly, but like, they have so many freaking weapons. So whatever hole that they can figure out in their opposition, they have the player to like exploit that. It doesn't matter what it is. But I guess, I don't know. It would be a fun matchup. You were mentioning like the struggles in the past game, if it comes to that. And the first team that came to mind for me was like the Chiefs as the only team that could maybe stop them, which would be the most boring script, but also probably the most likely.
Yeah. I think it's worth noting Montgomery went down and did not play in the second half.
Yeah.
And he was playing fantastic. Dude,
his touchdown was awesome.
I know, man. And
yeah.
I think it's a big deal. It's going to be a big deal when you don't have Gibbs and Montgomery are just totally different runners. And I feel like the kind of runner Montgomery is the kind of player that gives your team juice early, gives that team energy, and kind of sets the tone. He's that kind of back. And if they don't have that, I'm worried that might make a big difference. They also lost a really big glue guy who I'm a fan of, Khalif Raymond. He was limping strong. He did not play the second half either. And he's a big deal. He's a huge special teams guy. I remember there was a game, I'm going to say like 3 weeks. It might have been the Texans game where he was the spark plug. He had like a big return touchdown. He had a deep receiving touchdown. They didn't have Jamison Williams. He was the perfect guy to step in and make plays. And they literally have everything. And they even have Khalif Raymond like to do that. But he's hurt now. So yeah, they've got some injuries and they may not be so. I don't know. I'm curious what's going to happen. I'm not so worried about Chicago, but moving forward, if they play, I don't know when they play Minnesota again, but that's going to be an interesting game.
I hope Montgomery's okay, because you're right. He's like the soul of that team in some ways.
He is. He kind of epitomizes that team. Tough runner. It was something with his knee. You know. So I don't have any notes on the Lions. I mean, the Colts are bad. But I do have here a note on Matt Eberflus. And so Chicago, they lost again. They lost to the Vikings. They actually took that game to overtime, right? And Caleb Williams played pretty dang well. He had like 260 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had this magical throw on the run along the sideline. It was absolutely perfect. He threw it to Swift. It was in the first quarter. It was beautiful. And then from that point forward, he was wheeling and dealing. It was good to see. He was his full talent, his running, his throwing was all on display in that game.
Yeah, he played
It
really well.
Yeah, he did. Kept him in the game. But you know who ultimately took them out of the game? Matt Eberflus. He threw a challenge flag on Jordan Addison. He went berserk, right? 160 yards, touchdown, whatever. Jordan Addison had a play, 69-yard play. Matt Eberflus called it explosive. And he says he threw the challenge flag because it was explosive, word for word. It always warrants a challenge when you have that big of a gain, even if we don't have the best look that we would have. That was his reasoning.
He's cooked, don't you think?
Well, you know, Chicago has precedent for firing coaches mid-season, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that he gets fired before the end of the year.
He's a terrible coach. He's one of the many, many bad coaches in the league.
Yeah.
His beard can't save him.
I'll tell you what, Chicago is a good Belichick
you know what?
spot.
You're right. Yeah.
100%. He has a really good, talented quarterback that he can mold, a fantastic defense, and a GM, Ryan Poles, that he can work really well with, I think. Yeah, I could see that working really well. So, I kind of hope that happens. I'm weirdly like a Caleb Williams fan because I just like his game. I really want him to succeed. I'm not a huge fan of his body language on the field. It's kind of annoying. He looks like a dramatic player. But other than that, I kind of want him to succeed. I know you don't, though.
I'm not rooting against Caleb. I'm not the biggest fan either, like you are, but I would probably root for Caleb over Bo Nix. For some reason, I just don't like Bo.
Oh, that's funny you say
I have
that.
no
Bo
good
Nix
reason
has
for that.
been on fire, dude.
He has been, yeah. But no, I kind of like the Bears, seriously, even though they're just complete trash. And you're right that they have like the Belichick vibe in terms of their team makeup. The only thing I really disagree with that you said was potentially the GM relationship, just because Belichick's so notorious for being way too obsessed and
Controlling.
power hungry. Yeah, because I actually think Poles is like a really good GM. I really like that roster, but I don't know. Maybe they get along just fine.
Real quick, back on Caleb. Have you watched a lot of Chicago games?
I'd say so. I mean, I watched some of the game yesterday, and he, like I said, he looked really good.
Well, do you ever notice when he does shit like this, he's just like, oh
yeah,
just like,
oh yeah. That's why
he's just like shaking his head. He's just like,
yes, that's why I'm not a big
God,
fan.
he seems like he's constantly whining. It's gotta be.
He's
annoying.
like, if Luca was more flamboyant and less aggressive, that's who you'd be. The football equivalent of that.
Yeah. Yeah. We need to get a guest on here. That'd be fun, right? Let's get our friend Tate on the pod.
That'd be fun.
I want
to
interview
Chicago
him on Chicago. Yeah.
I like that idea.
He's gonna be more in tune with what's going on in the organization. And if Belichick is a good Scott. Yeah, that's what we're doing. I'm gonna get him on the pod.
Okay.
I'm sure he won't be busy during right after Thanksgiving week. So Minnesota, most fragile 9-2 team ever known.
Other than 2022 Minnesota. Maybe I was going to say maybe Pittsburgh is up there with them, but I think Pittsburgh has 3 losses. Yeah, I don't.
Because they fucking lost to Cleveland. Good God, can you still believe that shit?
Yes, dude, you were the one that was buying all the Steelers side.
I know.
I was trying to tell you that
that age like milk.
Well, it's just one game,
dude. I'm still annoyed by that. I don't understand. I'm honestly, dude. I'm mainly annoyed with George Pickens. I cannot fucking stand that dude.
That's
He
fair.
is making the stupidest comments. Like in that game against Cleveland, he was, of course, he throws out the biggest excuse in the world, like, oh, well, the field, it made it really hard for everybody to play. I'm just like, dude, shut the fuck up. You are not helping. Your attitude is not helping.
Yeah, he also said after the game, just dead ass, he was like, the Cleveland Browns are not a good football team. Like, what kind of clown
Oh, he said that?
talks?
Oh,
Yes.
shit.
I don't know what the question was, but he said that to a reporter.
Wow.
I know. If he's my teammate, I would probably hate him too. But I find him pretty amusing from a distance.
God damn it.
Yeah.
That's how much he frustrates me. That's just an
Yeah, that's
authentic,
fair.
like, I cannot stand him.
He's a clown.
But anyways, back to the subject. I mean, you really think they're flimsy? Their defense is still, I mean, that game against Cleveland, I don't think the defense is to blame here. I mean, they held,
No.
it's the offense that's inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't seriously. I'm not writing off the Steelers just because that game was. It was a snowstorm, and Jameis Winston is like the GOAT. So I don't put too much emphasis on it. Granted, their offense looked atrocious,
Yeah.
but I think it was just like another indication to me that the NFC North is kind of a mess, like always. And I still feel like the Ravens are the best team in the division, even if they lose again tonight, which they might. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I just have too much of like an NBA school of thought when it comes to football, where I just give too much credit to like star power in the form
Yeah.
of offensive skill. So I'm always going to take the team with the better quarterback usually.
I think it was Colin Coward who's been betting on he took a different approach in betting where he's only when he makes bets on teams against their spread, he's only betting on the team that has the better quarterback, regardless of whether they're favored or not. He's had like a 70% winning record right now, solely betting
Great
on
strategy.
what quarterback is better. That's it. Nothing else.
Makes sense to me. I mean, that would net you a win like for Packers Niners, even though Jordan Love was ass. He was a lot better than Brandon Allen, right?
Yeah. By the way, quick update. Baltimore is up 23-16. So
Well, they are winning.
with our theory, it's 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Who's the better quarterback, Lamar Jackson or Justin Herbert right now?
It's got to be Jackson. Even if Herbert maybe as good tonight, which from what I've seen, he kind of is.
Yeah.
But it's obviously Lamar, right? In a vacuum.
I actually think it's closer than at the beginning of the season. It would have been a far and away Lamar, but Justin Herbert's having a career year right now.
Oh, he is. He's great.
Yeah, I agree with you though. I think it'd still be Lamar. So I would bet the Ravens to cover, and that'd be backing that Colin Coward theory, and maybe there is something to it. They're up 23-16. They're both. Man, imagine if Baltimore loses this game. If they lost this game, they go down to 7-5.
It feels unbelievable, doesn't it?
I know it does. It's
Yeah.
weird.
I guess that means they're gonna win.
The narrative would make sense for them to win, because then that would put the Chargers at 7-4, and then the Broncos are 6-5. Chiefs are 10-1. Yeah, that makes that division a little harder to predict. I think if the Chargers lose tonight, then I feel like the door is wide open for the Broncos to sweep in and take that fifth spot.
Or they could maybe both make it. It wouldn't surprise me that much.
Yeah, but I think they really want. I think if you're the Chargers and the Broncos, that fifth spot's really important because you can avoid playing the Chiefs, right? You can play
Yeah.
the winner. Well, it's going to come down to lowest seed that's available, but you have a higher likelihood of playing the 2 or the 3 seed, which can be the winners of the division. Like they could find themselves playing. I would rather play the Bills than the Chiefs, honestly, because nobody wants to play the Chiefs and
That's true.
you know what I mean? Nobody wants to play the Chiefs
Yeah.
in the playoffs. So I would rather play the Bills. I know it's not a big difference in terms of quality of team, but I don't want to see the Chiefs ever.
No, you're right.
Right. And then who's the other division winner? Yeah, I would feel much better. Like imagine you see Pittsburgh in the second round.
Or Houston. Houston is reeling.
Oh yeah,
That'd be
exactly.
nice.
Yeah, so I think that fifth seed is really important. You want to do what it takes to stay in the middle ground. You have a better chance of playing not as quality teams, so you can avoid the Chiefs.
So the Broncos and Chargers play week 16. Have a feeling that'll be an important game.
Yeah, it will be.
And as of now, it's got the Sunday night slot, which makes sense. Oh wait, no, maybe it's a Thursday. Oh yeah, it's a Thursday. Okay.
Thursday, it's probably going to get flexed.
Probably.
All right. Bo Nix in September, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, 2-2. Since September, 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 5-3 record. Pretty good.
It was one of the very first episodes we did. May have been the first one even, where we both shat on him. I said something like, I'm not going to change my mind unless it's obvious that I'm wrong. And I think it's pretty obvious that I'm wrong now. He's a good player. He's
been playing outstanding. He's such an athletic quarterback too, dude. He's
a great athlete. Yeah, exactly. His legs help him out so much. And the other thing that helps him out so much is Sean Payton, who I also don't like, but who is also really good at his job.
Love Sean Payton.
You do. I don't. But he knows football, man.
Bo Nix is old. He's 24.
That is kind of old.
Isn't it weird saying that out loud? Man, yeah. He's so old. He's 24. He is the oldest rookie in this rookie class.
28-year-old.
He's technically older than Penix.
He's also old.
Yeah, they're both 24. Hold on. Penix. He is 24, and he was born May 8th. Oh, no, so wait, my math is bad right now. He was born May 8th, and Bo Nix was born February 25th. Who's older?
Were they born the same year?
Yeah. So it's Penix is technically younger, right?
Yeah.
May 8th. Yeah. By a few months.
That's funny because Bo Nix looks like a baby.
Bo Nix is the older then. Yeah. Okay. So he's the oldest. Remember how Penix got a shit ton of flack for being too old?
Mm-hmm.
And Bo Nix is older.
Well, that makes sense because Bo Nix played like 20 years of college ball. So I guess
Wait, how long did he play?
I really couldn't tell you. I thought it was like at least 6 or 7 years.
Bo Nix.
He started at Auburn. And then he went to Oregon.
I don't know his college life at all. Auburn career 2019 to 2021. Oregon 2022, 2023. 5 years.
It's just 5? Feels like more. I guess it's because it was pre-COVID, so that feels like a decade ago.
He was a true freshman. He wasn't even redshirted. So that's probably why. He did have a lot of college games under his belt. 5 years in college for quarterback and then being a number 1 pick. say that's uncommon. Round one pick, not number one pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that makes sense that you would think he was in college forever because he did play a lot. Oh man, Baltimore scored again. They're up 30-16. They're up 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think that's GG's.
I'll tell you what though, your boy's gonna finally. I'm gonna win in my work league. I started Will Disley.
Oh, nice.
I had to. Literally every person on my bench was on bye. So I went and picked him up, and I needed him to score 6 points or more, and he had PPR league. Well, he could get more because the game's not over, but he has 3 catches for 38 yards. That's
exactly what you need.
Yeah. Watch, he's going to fumble now because I brought this up.
I like Will Disley.
Yeah, he's 29. It's weird, right? He's kind of come on the scene.
That is weird. Just give credit to Harbaugh.
I'll take any dub. Finally going to have this is the first week I've had all season where both my betting went well and my fantasy teams did well in the same week. It's either one or the other or none. It's been a tough week.
I had a tough fantasy week. Oh well.
Did you have a lot of people on bye? Burrow, maybe?
Yeah, well, Burrow's my QB in all 3 of my leagues, so he was out.
Holy shit!
In
all
my
3
redraft
leagues.
league.
I didn't know you invested that much in them.
And you know what? Funny. He's like QB2, so results speak for themselves. I also have Chase Brown in one league, Bengals running back, who's been on fire lately, and so he's also out. And Kamara, who's also out. So yeah, not a good week. My boss was asking me about fantasy today, and I had to tell him that I shit the bed.
Why did you have to tell him that?
Because he asked me. He said, "Eddie, did you shit the bed in fantasy this week?" And I said, "Yes, boss."
He asked you that?
No, he just asked me about fantasy.
Why don't you just lie to your boss?
I'm not gonna lie to my boss. It's just
about fantasy football.
Yeah, boss, I'm 11-0 in all my leagues. Okay, Eddie, that makes sense because you're the best employee. No.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good mindset. I like it. Sorry, I took us off track there. Speaking of the playoff picture, seems like the Chiefs are just doing everything it takes to get into January because they play a super close game against Carolina. And yet again, proving the theory, if the Chiefs are favored by 4 or more, you fucking bet against the Chiefs because they love to play it down to their level. And it happens against the Panthers. And the Panthers actually played pretty well. I kept that game close with fucking Bryce Young, whatever the fuck his name is.
He looked solid, finally.
He looked solid. Yeah. Hey, I wanted to ask you, what's up with Jonathan Brooks? Do you have the status on him?
Yeah, I've been trying to keep up. There's not much news about him. Obviously, he hasn't really been playing. I think he just had a long recovery, first of all, for whatever reason. And it's not like it's been abnormally long, I don't think. I mean, he got injured November of last year, right? So it's been a year. And the other thing is the Panthers are kind of, I would say, well-suited to take their time because they're trash.
Yeah,
they're not competing for anything. Also, they just signed Chuba Hubbard to an extension, who's a really good running back. So
he's a good running back, man.
Yeah.
This is why I wanted to ask you, what do you think is going to happen? Because Chuba got extended this season.
I think they will form eventually, probably not this season, but eventually they'll form a really nice 2-headed monster of a backfield because I still believe in the talent of Jonathan Brooks. I think he's more talented than Chuba, personally. Again, I like Chuba. I think he's really good. But weirdly, the Panthers have been kind of a good running team these last 3 years.
Yeah.
Even though they haven't done anything else good. So I would say maybe draft Jonathan Brooks next year in fantasy when everyone's low on him, like at the end of the draft or whatever.
Yeah, he's a nice little dart throw.
We'll see, though. I hope I'm right. If not, then that sucks.
They should have the thing like they do in the NBA where you can apply for, due to an injury exemption, to make their first year eliminate it. Like say it never happens, and then their rookie year is the year they actually play.
Yeah, it's like a red shirt.
Totally account for all the fantasy dynasty teams out there. Do us a solid.
Please.
The Chiefs are playing Vegas on Friday. Public announcement. They're playing on Friday evening. They're playing in Kansas City, they are also favored by 13 points, I believe. My numbers say 10.5 right now, but I know that number's gone up, especially with news that Gardner Minshew broke his collarbone. So he's out for the year.
Sucks.
This is a game that I also feel hesitant to bet on Desmond Ridder. So I actually think the Chiefs might cover this game. This might be a weird exception to the rule.
That's what I was thinking too.
But anyways, the Chiefs, they're sitting pretty with their schedule, man. It's going to be their number one seed to lose, but it's Buffalo that they're on bye this week, right? They're in control of their destiny, so they say. They need to win out to have a chance at the 1 seed, and their schedule is becoming more and more favorable. They have San Francisco at San Francisco off a bye. So I kind of like that. I think they have a chance, especially with San Francisco not playing very well. I think this is a weird must-win game for Buffalo. I think they have to establish that they are a good team and they have to take care of business here. I think it's going to start a momentum swing for them to make a run at the 1 seed. I feel like if they lose this game, they're not going to get the 1 seed. I feel like this is like the swing game. What do you think about that?
I think it's really interesting because I kind of feel like the Niners are going to win. I agree the Bills are the better team. The Niners, like I said, look like trash. And the Bills have been good all season. And the Bills have probably the MVP right now. But it just feels like the kind of matchup that frustrates all the bettors, like has been happening, where the logical pick, being Buffalo in this case, just kind of shits the bed, and then the Niners just sort of wake up with all their talent finally, and the narrative shifts. Mm-hmm. So that's why I don't bet as much. It's because it's really hard to say. I agree that Buffalo should be winning, like I said, but it feels suspicious or scary.
Their division games just aren't as important either. That's another reason why this is a must-win game. Like, if they're not going to be playing talented teams going into the playoffs, I mean, that's bad news for them. They need to be playing strong teams so that they go into it feeling good about their chances against good teams. So that's another reason why I think they need to beat San Francisco. Like, I know they're not playing very well, but they're going to hang their hat on that and say, like, that on paper, this is a good team. We need to beat them.
Oh, yeah. Everyone still, in the league at least, everyone still respects the Niners. Probably not the pundits.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a good game to watch. I actually didn't really like this weekend's slate, at least before the game started. But I think next week will be better.
You mean you weren't thrilled with Tampa Bay blowing out the Giants?
I was thrilled with the outcome, not as a viewer.
You're telling me you're not a Baker Mayfield fan?
I am definitely not a Baker Mayfield fan. That's what I'm telling you.
That's unfortunate.
I recognize his game, though.
Monster.
He is.
Good. Good. I'm glad you recognize game. Dude, he's so good.
I know.
He needs to be starting. If he's on your fantasy team, he needs to be starting every week. That's how good he's been. And he just got Mike Evans back, and he's even better.
I think he's top 3 or 4 scoring right now.
Mm-hmm.
Still.
And he's just making play after play, man. He's an awesome quarterback.
That's what surprised me this year is like his mobility. I had never really seen him play like that before. He's always been a gunslinger, but it feels like he's really developed his like out of structure awareness and ability to just break down defenses and really break their soul when they feel like they got him. But yeah, I'm not a Baker fan. Fuck OU.
Of course, I know. Yeah. Of course, typical Eddie. I get it.
Yep.
Okay, but did you see that running touchdown that Baker had? He dove
I did
across
not
the
actually.
goal line. Oh man, it was nasty. I wish I could have that prepared. I would show you right now, but it was really cool. The Tampa Bay is like, they're a really sweet team. They're like they're like cranberry sauce. So let's talk about, in honor of Thanksgiving.
They're like cranberry sauce.
Yeah, I think they're a good cranberry sauce team.
Let's do it by dish. Since you started with cranberry sauce.
Let's go by dishes and then give them an analogous NFL team. So I'll start. We can go one by one.
Yeah.
With my cranberry sauce team, I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. They're the leaders in the NFC South. Well, technically Atlanta is, but honestly, anyone that comes out of that division is cranberry sauce because they're all sweetness and probably gonna, only be a supplement to all the other good teams in the NFC.
Right. A little tart, but in a good way.
Sus defense.
Yeah. For my cranberry sauce, I have kind of I guess more of an emotional pick because they don't taste that sweet right now. I have the Houston Texans, who I have sort of become a pseudo fan of these last couple of years with Stroud and Nico Collins, and I love Nico, as you know. And with their defense and like their head coach DeMeco Ryans, how can you not love DeMeco? He's sweet, even if the Texans like end up not recovering from this bad stretch. I guess the last few weeks notwithstanding, they've been really fun to watch since DeMeco took over, and they're the superior Texas team for sure. So I like them as a little preview before dessert.
All right. Start off with the next one. Who's your turkey?
The most bland dish that is also the most essential that everyone has to be there for, that we all secretly hate. I have the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep, I do too. I had a feeling
Perfect.
Do that.
Good job.
Yeah, they're the real deal. They're the main dish.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it. And this particular turkey is slightly overcooked with their injuries.
Yes. And I'm going to stuff my face with them begrudgingly.
Yep. All of America's still going to do it. They're going to look at the Thanksgiving table and they're going to say, like, man, I got to have the Chiefs. I have to. Like, it's turkey.
We're going to watch. We're going to eat. That's right.
Yeah.
That was the most obvious pick.
Honestly, they're going to execute too. That's the
yes,
thing.
That's right. They're going to do their job.
Execute. Yeah.
Good old reliable.
All right, I'll go next. Stuffing. The most complete dish, arguably, in the Thanksgiving dinner table, evening table, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
The Detroit Lions have everything.
Attaboy. That's who I have as well.
Yep. Yeah. How can it not be the Lions? It's the stuffing's got it all. It's the dish that everyone's going to go for at the very beginning of the meal to make sure they get a piece of that team before it's all gone.
That's right.
Everyone's on board. And
better than the turkey, but the turkey gets all the love.
At the end, it's like, at the end of the night, you're like, I love the stuffing, but I'm just glad we had turkey.
Mm-hmm. Even though the stuffing was the most satisfying.
Mm-hmm. That's funny. You had the Lions too. Okay, who's your next dish?
let's go with the green bean casserole. I think this will be maybe a little different. I have the Cincinnati Bengals, partly,
Ooh.
actually, mostly just because this is my personal favorite Thanksgiving dish. And I was not about to put the Cowboys here because fuck the Cowboys. So I had to go with my second favorite team, Joe Burrow. How about you?
So you went with your second favorite Thanksgiving dish being your second favorite NFL team?
Sorry,
That's
that's
your
confusing. I
main
went with
reasoning?
my absolute favorite dish as my second favorite team, and the reasoning there is like I didn't choose this sorry ass Cowboys life. So in a sense, they're not really my favorite team, if that makes sense. I'm just a fan,
I'm
you
starting
know.
to realize that.
Yeah.
I think you're
Whereas the
you're
Bengals,
yeah, it's the
I
Bengals.
sought them out. Yeah.
They're your side team, honestly. Like they're your
Right.
actual love of your life. But the Cowboys,
Correct.
well, you're married to them and you're not going to dishonor them.
That's right.
Yeah, you're committed. I get it. You're an honorable man. I
And my
understand.
wife.
Yeah, my wife. Uh, my green bean casserole is the San Francisco 49ers. It's
That's a
that
good pick.
dish that you know has potential. It's a solid dish. But this year there's something about the casserole that's you don't trust it. You know, like
Yeah.
it's not as it doesn't look as good. Your least favorite aunt brought it over. You know, you don't trust her cooking. She hasn't been in the kitchen very long. Like she's been suspect with the dishes she's brought over in the past. So she decided to go with the green bean casserole, and the 49ers just don't have they're not playing on their A game. They're not who they
Yeah.
really could be. So they're the green bean casserole.
Better in years past, for sure.
Better in years past, exactly. All right, I'll go next. My mashed potatoes
It's a
is
big
the
one.
team. It's a big one. Yeah, it's a team that has been getting slept on. But once you watch a game of theirs and you realize, like, damn, they're really good. Once you get a taste of these mashed potatoes, you realize, like, why did I sleep on you guys? Like, you guys have been fantastic. And you put this brand new cheese on top of it, and it's like arguably the best cheese in the league. And
Uh-oh.
Saquon Barkley
Yep.
is that cheese.
Yep.
I mean, the dude is unreal, and you love cheese. You love cheese, and you put it on mashed potatoes, man, it makes it an absolute game changer.
Yes. Throw
So the
some
mashed
chives on there.
potatoes,
I also
they've got
have,
such a strong run
yeah,
game that making them the perfect mashed potatoes team.
really hearty dish. Full team, complete team. I also put the Eagles. So
You did.
I
Holy
did.
shit, dude, our teams are coming out the same. That's
It was the
wild.
right pick. And you're right. Barkley is the perfect analogy. Also, like, how do you not love mashed potatoes? Honestly, if you don't like mashed potatoes, then I question you as a person. So it had to be a great team. Eagles fit that, and they also just have that vibe of like something you want that's savory and like filling.
Mm-hmm.
Throw some bacon bits if you really need it, but you really don't. On their own, they're still perfect. Some butter and cheese.
Yep. All right,
Okay.
you go next.
There's still a protein here, but I'm gonna pass over the protein for now, and I'm gonna go with the bread roll. And for this one, we weren't really specific as far as what kind, so I'm assuming this is like a really stale ass bread here that I feel like I have to bite into because it's the only bread available. And
Oh,
even
we went totally different here. That's so
I know
funny.
that's why I'm being specific because I figured you'd go with a nice, perfectly baked buttery bread. That's not what I'm going
That's
for here.
exactly what I did.
Right, right. So I just wanted to be because I knew if I just said my team, you would flip your shit. So I had to be specific. This is a bread that I hate biting into, but that I have to have. What can I say? It's the
Okay.
Dallas Cowboys. They're my stale bread for Thanksgiving, and they're always
Oh,
there on Thanksgiving.
but man, did they pull out a dub? And it's the carbs. The carbs are
Right,
really pulling their weight right now.
right.
And
Sustenance.
you know somebody's going to get those carbs, and the
Yes,
Cowboys
sir.
are. Yeah, that makes sense.
What was your bread?
Mine was the Bills. I'm thinking here, right? The team that's savory, just perfectly baked. Man, they're good. You take a roll. What's the first thing you eat? You take a bite out of that roll, right?
Oh yeah,
Man, you
nice and
think to
hot.
yourself, "Holy shit, this is a good roll." So you just start
Mhm.
munching away. You're like, you're not even thinking about the rest of the meal. You're not thinking about what happens when you meet the stuffing and it's time to eat the stuffing. And then you compare, you're like, you've already eaten 3 rolls. You really enjoyed every
Oh
game
yeah.
that the Bills have played. They've been fantastic, right? Then you look at the stuffing and you have a bite of the stuffing, and you're like, oh shit, this is really good. Like, fuck, why did I invest all my eggs into the Bills basket? Like I haven't put them up against anybody good. Fuck, what have I done? That's 100% the Bills.
You're absolutely on the money when you say you have 3 rolls before you know it. Also, if they're good rolls, you just keep snacking away even when you're not
Yeah.
hungry anymore. Post
And
dinner,
that's exactly that's gonna kill him. That's gonna kill him come
yeah,
week 16. They're gonna
yeah,
play
you're gonna
somebody
get sick of
good.
it.
Yeah.
That's a good one. The Bills are
All right,
buttery
my
smooth.
pumpkin pie. I'm going straight into it. My pumpkin pie, excuse me, is the is the Ravens.
Oh wow.
The Ravens, man, they pack a punch. They're sweet. They've got a fantastic crust. It's that crust that's arguably the MVP of the table. It really carries their team. I'm talking about Derrick Henry, and it's just not enough. For some reason, you think that the crust is enough to help this team go the distance, but all of a sudden you feel like you're already full, and you didn't. There just wasn't enough for you to have more pumpkin pie. You realize that this sweet pumpkin, uh, the filling, Lamar, it's great, but there's just not enough team to make this a complete team. They're relying too much on Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, and there's just no defense to speak of. If you want to call the defense whipped cream, you can, but boy, it's fragile. So I think the Ravens are pumpkin pie.
I also had the Ravens. So
You do?
yeah, I do.
Dude, this is crazy. I can't
I
believe you
know.
have the
We did not plan this. So I basically agree. I don't have much else to add. Ravens are a nice little dessert.
Yo, that's wild.
One thing that's a little more personal is like I felt like the Ravens have one of the most or the highest approval ratings across NFL fans.
Yeah, nice
Whereas
take.
I'm not a huge fan. I don't really like the Ravens much,
Uh-huh.
and I feel the same way about
Okay.
pumpkin pie. I'm not the biggest
Yeah.
pumpkin pie man in the household. I'll eat it, I'll consume it, and I'll enjoy it even, but I'm not really going to go back for seconds. It's a little bit too thick for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Dude, this is perfect though for me because remember how I was tooting this pumpkin pie all
Yeah,
year.
I know.
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
Okay, we're like what four or five on the same
Yeah.
wavelength. What else do we have? I think there's just one more. Yeah, just one more left here.
I've got two.
You do? What am I
Yeah.
missing? Oh
Sorry.
yeah. Sorry, the protein that I skipped over. Okay, let's do the protein now. That's
All
the
right. You go
ham.
first. Okay. Yeah.
So we just talked about the Ravens. So funny enough, they're playing the team that I put for the ham tonight, and that's the Chargers.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say someone else. We're different.
Okay.
Yeah, continue.
So the Chargers, I think they're really sweet, and I kind of like them. I love their color scheme. Love Jim Harbaugh. Love Jim Harbaugh. He's an awesome coach. Really glazy, really kind, high approval rating. No one's going to say no to him. At the end of the day, I just think it's not real sustenance.
Yeah.
Yes, it's full of protein, but it's really just sugar, at least for Thanksgiving. Having said that, I like
You
it.
weren't expecting it to be that sweet, is what you're saying.
Right. Yeah, I want a savory protein, but I like it. I like the Chargers. They're solid. So Chargers with ham. What do you got?
Yeah, the Chargers, you're going to put them on your plate. You're going to consider
Yes,
them. You're going to put them, you're
exactly.
going to eat them.
They
Like,
have a spot.
they have a spot. They're going to be in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to count on them? Probably
No.
not. You're going to
No,
count
of
on your
course not.
turkey. This is what we went to Thanksgiving for.
That's
You didn't
right.
go here for the ham. You came here for the turkey.
Absolutely.
Now, that's a soundbite if I've ever heard one. All right. My ham is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are a very healthy
Okay.
team. And you know what? If I think of a Thanksgiving dish that's healthy, I look at the ham. I think like, all right,
Yeah.
it doesn't have any fat. I'm watching my figure a little bit. I'm gonna go with the ham. And I think that's analogous with the Pittsburgh because they don't have any major injuries. They're a solid team right now they've got a lot of beef, a lot of protein on that defense. And
Yes, they
ham
do.
is certainly that. But boy, their sweetness stops short on offense, and it reared its ugly head against Cleveland when their offense did not show up to play. So it largely comes down to overall health. Like they're one of the healthiest teams in the league. So they've got to be attributed with one of the healthiest dishes at Thanksgiving.
It's a good call, sir. I consider the Steelers for, I think it was the green bean casserole. I don't know, but that's a good pick. I like it. So one left. It's on you.
All right. The cider. To me, I think it's either going to be it's going to be between Minnesota and Green Bay. And I'm thinking here, you have a drink of cider and it tastes good. But then you remember to yourself, you remind yourself, this has no body and I really don't want to ruin. It's kind of like the bread, but you know it's bad. Whereas when you have the bread, you're like, the fuck, this is good. And it's already too late. But when you have the cider, you look at it and you're like, oh, wait, no, I know I'm not supposed to have a whole lot of this. Like, it's good. Don't get me wrong. But I know the Vikings are going to fail us. They're 9-2, but they're like, I know they're sweet, but I also know they're not going to take me anywhere. So I'm going to have like half a glass and say that I had it, you know?
Yeah. You just got to try it.
I'm just going to try it, but I cannot trust them. I'm 100% still believing in the stuffing. And I kind of put, you know, the Vikings and the Packers in the same boat here.
Mine is kind of similar. I feel bad. I think I shut out the NFC North entirely. But yeah, the cider's something I think I did. Yeah. It's a shame. That's like the best division. Cider is something I'm really just looking to wash down all the food with, just to cleanse the palate, maybe get me ready for bed.
Okay.
Just something that I can enjoy for a little bit and that I'm okay with falling asleep to if need be. I'm not committed to it, like you said. And for me, that's the Los Angeles Rams, who I literally fell asleep to the last time they were on Sunday Night Football. Not because I don't like them. I actually really like the Rams, and I like watching Sean McVay get all excited on the sideline, pump his fist, high five his players. I love watching Puka Nacua.
I knew it. That's why.
That's why.
It's about
It's
Puka.
Puka.
It's not about Sean
But
McVay. Come on.
But listen, it's still just cider. You know, he's one player. He's not a top 5 receiver in the league as good as he is. He's just really fun to watch, and that's what the cider is.
I appreciate your honest take, at least for half of it, for the ciders.
Okay. I think we did well.
No, but yeah, surprisingly well. Well, I mean, 4 of them were like almost exactly the same reasoning, so that was impressive.
Yeah. Well, the turkey I kind of expected we would have alike. It just felt correct. The other ones were a little bit of a surprise, but it makes sense.
And honestly, if you kind of shifted our frame of thinking to be the same, like the bread, for example, we probably would have considered the same teams.
I think you're right. Buffalo as the bread does make a lot of sense, but it has to be warm and buttery and smooth. Obviously, like we said.
Yeah. Shout out to Miami. I was gonna make them a cider. No, that's not true. I wanted to include Miami, but Cider doesn't feel right anymore. I feel like I need to include Miami because I did want to bring them up in this pod because they're playing really well. I think I kind of touched on it last week, but Miami they're looking good, man. Like they were dominant. I know the Patriots aren't very good, and they have a rookie quarterback, but dude, if that offense is clicking, if Tua's playing well, particularly at home, they're a good team. I think they have a legit shot making the 6th or 7th seed.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I haven't looked at their schedule, so let's look at their schedule together. Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins.
I'm so jaded
They
by them,
have,
as you know.
all right. So they just beat the Patriots 34. At one point, it was 30-0. Just want to remind you that was a thing. So Dolphins go at Packers. Oh yeah, that's Thursday night. And Tua doesn't do very well in outside games, and the line is actually pretty small. It's only 3.5 in favor of Green Bay. I'm kind of considering betting on Miami, just because they have got momentum and they found their footing, right? Okay. After that, they've got the Jets at home. Jets aren't good. Then they go at the Texans, who are reeling, right? Like, boy, that we haven't talked about them yet. We will, but that's a winnable game for the Dolphins. The Texans could be 8-7 or 7-7 at that point, which that's a winnable game for the Texans for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Then they're playing the San Francisco 49ers, who have to go across the country. They've already had their bye to go play Miami. Miami will win the game. Then they got to go at the Browns. Browns are meh. They could win that game. And then they end the season at New York Jets. It's a favorable schedule, dude. They can make some noise, I think.
Yeah, that's not terrible.
No. What do you think about Miami?
I agree they're playing well, obviously. And to me, I'm not actually surprised. Like I told you a couple weeks ago, I just think they go as Tua goes, and I don't trust Tua, man. Like it's not about the health even for me. It's more about who he is as a player, and I don't think he can put them on their back and overcome like an actual good team. So I think they're gonna get smacked around a little bit here on Thursday, personally, because I think Green Bay's defense is well equipped to handle them. Hopefully I'm wrong, because I also kind of like them, just like aesthetically. They're really fun to watch when they're clicking, obviously. I mean, it's a great offense. But it feels like a college team, and I don't mean that like as a slight necessarily. Obviously, it sounds bad, but that's just the kind of like vibe that they embody to me. So it's hard for me to take them seriously, but I don't know. Crazy things have happened. I feel like every year there's always one team that actually does sneak in after losing like 6 or 7 games early. Last year there was the Texans. No, it was the Packers last year. That's right. I think they won like their last 7 games. So maybe. I'm surprised you love them that much. Is their defense like actually good? I know they played well against the Patriots, but I don't know what that really
says. They've been playing
says.
better, and they just got Jalen Phillips back, their edge.
Okay.
Who is a very athletic young dude. He's really good. You're actually you might be thinking about the Dolphins when they went on a 10-game winning streak with Brian Flores as their head coach. They went on a run, and that's when Brian Flores got a lot of notoriety. They played out of their minds and made the playoffs. Ahmed was their running back, and they had just random players that were playing really well. So there's precedent with Miami to make a run like this, and I think they have the talent. They're healthy again, dude. They got Achane's running, Mostert's back.
Waddle finally had a good game.
Waddle, yeah, he had a great game. Reek is positive in the media again.
Yeah,
he was kind of MIA for the past 2 months since Tua has been hurt. But yeah, Dolphins are in a good position to make some noise now. Obviously, we we disagree, like they look a little more shaky to you, and I think that makes sense. But man, you have to reconsider. Let's say they go into Green Bay and they win this game,
then yes, I'll
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I mean, I'll change my mind if they do that. If they beat a legitimately good playoff team with like Green Bay, I don't think they will. We'll see, man. I'm looking forward to some Thanksgiving football though, for sure.
Yeah, we have 2 good games. Well, who are our games? Dolphins
Actually,
at
I think it's
Packers.
just one. It's just that
Oh
one.
yeah, the Giants are playing or some shit.
Right. It's Giants, Cowboys, ugh. And then it's
Ugh.
Lions, Bears.
Ugh.
I was excited for Lions, Bears early in the season, and now not so much. But yeah,
Man.
Dolphins, Packers, I think will be fun. And I'm pretty sure that's the last game of the day, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Then we're treated to a fucking Chiefs Raiders the following day.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that.
Our leftovers game. Come on, it's a shit game.
And then we get the real treat on Saturday. Hook 'em, baby.
Oh yeah. Oh dude, yeah, I can't wait. That's gonna be fun.
Yep, I've been thinking about it.
You reminded me. That's a big deal. Winner plays Georgia.
Yes, it is. Yep, it's a playing game basically.
We really need to win this game. We really need to beat A&M. Like
I hope so, man. A coworker today. Hey, what?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I have a coworker who's an Aggie, and he told me today that they have nothing to lose, and I'm like, really? Because if you lose or if you win, you get to the conference title game.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something to lose.
There's a lot to gain. Like, of course there's.
Yeah, exactly. Big stakes. I really want those bragging rights. What were you gonna say?
Well, speaking of Texas teams, the Texans do not look good, man. They're a playoff team that they're gonna get bounced. The offensive line is fucking atrocious. I watched a lot of most of that game. I think you did too.
Yep.
Dude, oh man, the offensive line is just an abomination. I mean, they might have had their worst game of the season against a bad Tennessee offense.
You're absolutely right, and I'm like officially very concerned. Like you, sounds like you are. But it's, to me, the most damning thing that I've seen these last couple weeks, including yesterday. It's not just the line anymore. Stroud is officially having a bad year.
Yeah,
and he's got his best receiver back, and he's just missing throws. It's tough to watch.
I think it comes down to an accumulation of just game after game is affecting him. Like it's adding
Probably.
up.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, of course it's going to result in a bad year. He's fucking getting sacked 8 times a game. He's getting pressured 75% of plays. He's running for his life back there. Like, of course he's going to have a drop in quality as a quarterback. Dude, that's going to happen to every quarterback behind that line. So you were 100% right, but is it his fault? It's kind of a team thing. Like, some of it falls on Stroud.
Well,
but
yeah,
it's circumstantial, man. And I hate it. I fucking hate that.
I do too. And the line thing is real. I think some of it is on Stroud, mostly not, but just a little bit. But you want to talk about bad offensive line play. His counterpart in that game, Will Levis, he got sacked 8 times.
You got
and you know what? You know what? He played better than Stroud did.
Dude, I was literally yelling at the TV, bench Will Levis, get him out of the game.
Really?
He's terrible. Yeah.
I thought he played pretty well, actually.
I found myself constantly saying, like, what are you doing to Will Levis?
Okay.
And I'm just super biased towards CJ Stroud, too. That's the other thing.
That's true. I like Stroud. I also kind of like Levis, embarrassingly.
Why? Because he loves Mayo, like you do?
That's one reason. I love the memes that he provides us. I'm very appreciative of that. Honestly, dude, he's got some insane arm talent. I know he's like played terribly. No, he really does. You saw his touchdown throw to
I remember. Yeah, whatever.
Westbrook-Akine.
I regret.
And then he had like another. He's terrible at pocket awareness for sure, and like he has a battle line, but some of the sacks are on him, no doubt about it. And it feels like he walks into pressure sometimes. But he's improved. I guess I shouldn't talk too much good about him, but I think he's played better since coming back.
Him or something?
Yeah, basically. To me, he outplayed Stroud, honestly, which is like really bad for Stroud.
Yeah, if you're Stroud, you want to put this game behind you and just move on to the next game.
Oh yeah,
because that was such a bad performance, and the defense had a pick six. Like, what more can you ask of the defense? They're doing everything they can, and it seems like the offense cannot stay on the field. So of course, when the defense is good, it doesn't matter how good your defense is. If they're constantly on the field, even if it's against fucking Will Levis, eventually it's gonna break. So yeah, the fucking Titans put 30 points on the Texans. Yeah, it makes total sense to me, which is, it's just annoying. The Texans are pissing me off. I can't imagine being an actual Texans fan.
Right.
They must
also,
be so frustrated with their team, dude.
They couldn't get Joe Mixon going at all.
I know.
You know what? Actually, the Titans' defense is really not bad at all.
No,
especially against the run.
Yeah.
Also, Tavondre Sweat got his first sack. That was cool.
Wait, what'd you say? I'm sorry.
Tavondre Sweat, he got his first sack in the NFL against Stroud.
Yeah, I know. It's about time. It reminds me of Byron Murphy. He was on my list because he is literally fucking putting the defense on their back in Seattle.
Is he?
And
nice.
Yeah, he's a fucking beast. He looks great. And he's the sole reason why that defense, as talentless and injured as Seattle's has been, they dominated Arizona. They made Murray look terrible. So
right. That seemed like a really rough game.
A rough game. Oh,
yeah,
to watch it was
right.
It wasn't very. Geno Smith wasn't very good either. It was a tough game. And yeah, God, fucking Kyler Murray.
Fucking Kyler Murray,
dude. But okay, granted, I got to give credit mainly to the Seattle's defense is outperforming its talent right now and the injuries that they have. But yeah, I wanted to mention, like, I'm seeing what Byron Murphy is doing is similar to what the Philly defensive line is doing. I wanted to mention that as well. I know Saquon is getting a lot of love right now. But dude, did you watch that Rams game? Most of it, or?
No, I didn't actually. I saw some of Saquon's runs, but that's about it.
Okay. That's fair. Dude, I watched the whole game. I watched every minute of it. That D-line is unfucking blockable. Like, really? Jalen Carter was Stafford, you thought the Texans offensive line was like playing bad? Dude, Stafford was running for his life. That D-line was unbelievable. And yeah, that team is very good. The Eagles are playing very well right now.
Well, I remember, like, even last year, but especially coming into this year, they were expected to have like this all-league D-line. And in the beginning of the year, I remember thinking, where is it? Not just me, like everyone was thinking that. And Jalen Carter, it seems like, has picked it up, and he's arrived. So yeah, the Eagles, it feels like, are just going to be good for the rest of my life every year. Credit to their front office, man. That dude can draft. I forget his name, but it feels like he nails every draft year in, year out. He picked 2 cornerbacks this year, right? You mentioned Cooper DeJean earlier. He also picked Quinyon Mitchell, who I think is going to be like one of the best cornerbacks in the league.
Nobody's throwing at him.
He's elite already. Like,
I know
whoever Sauce Gardner was
not a rookie, but Blankenship is also another guy.
He's also good. That's right. Yep. So yeah, I don't know what you're supposed to do against that team if they just have all pro talent at every position.
This reminds me, Graham tore his bicep. He's out for the year. Brandon Graham, the 36.
Oh, he did? Oh no.
Yeah, he's out for the rest of the year. That's a big loss. He's like the leader of the defense.
Yes, he is.
A bunch of young boys that are playing well were being led by Graham. and he's now out for the season.
Ouch.
But you're not an Eagles fan, so you're like, good.
Nah, I'm not like that.
You're more of a Saquon Barkley fan, I can tell.
I'm a Devontae Smith fan, but yeah, I like Saquon.
Oh, yeah. He wasn't playing in that game either.
Yeah.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention some really cool stats that I wrote down. So Saquon Barkley needs to average 119 rushing yards over his next 6 games to break the all-time single-season rushing record. He would need to average 143 yards, 143.5 scrimmage yards to break the all-time scrimmage yards in a season. Both very attainable. 6 games left. You think you can do that? Either of those?
I absolutely think he can. I don't think he should try, but I'm worried that Sirianni's going to try, which to me would be unwise.
You know damn well they're going to try. They're going to go.
They
for
are
that
going
one
to try.
seed.
Yeah.
They do not want to. They do not want to go into a dome. They want to play anybody in Philadelphia.
They should try for the 1 seed. That's not what I mean. I don't think they necessarily have to destroy Saquon in order to get it.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's their team, like literally. I mean, not literally. They have great talent all around, but the way they play, clearly they've made him the offense. AJ Brown is like the complement now, which is insane.
Yeah.
So they obviously need him in the playoffs, and you want him fresh, right? But we'll see. Maybe they can give him 30 carries a game, and he'll still be fine. I don't know.
You know, another reason why he might be fine is, well, okay, first I'm going to preface this comment with, remember at the beginning of the year where we were mentioning how Jason Kelsey's loss was a big deal?
I do.
Their offensive line's not playing as well. It's resulting in Hurts not playing well. Well, here's a stat. In that game, Saquon Barkley had 213 rushing yards before contact. That's the most by any player in a game since Jerome Harrison. That offensive line is
That's insane.
humming. So a team that's got the brotherly shove and the run game clicking like this, another reason why they're mashed potatoes, baby.
Correct. That's wild. 213 yards before contact.
Before contact.
That's
wild.
Terrifying.
I do not want to see Philly in Philly.
No.
That is a scary team to play right now. Other small random stat that does not matter for anything. But I don't know if Chris Collinsworth was just making shit up, but he mentioned on the broadcast that Kenneth Gainwell can also squat as much weight as Saquon Barkley, like 600 pounds. And I'm like,
I don't believe that. Really?
Yeah. So, okay, tell me your image of Kenneth Gainwell, the backup. He's a backup running back for Philly.
He's a small, gadget running back. He's
That's
good.
what I'm saying.
I actually think he's quite good, but he's not. What?
All right.
That's crazy.
I don't know the answer to this, and I would be surprised.
Also, if it came from Collinsworth, I don't really give that much credit.
Okay.
That Kenneth Gainwell.
No, you know, he could probably squat as much as, you know what? He could squat 600 pounds just like Barkley.
These Eagles running backs.
You know? Okay, Kenneth Gainwell is 200 pounds. He's 5'9". He's my size. He is virtually the same person as me. And that he says, Chris Collinsworth he says that he can squat 600 pounds. You don't believe that, right? There's no way.
Say that number one more time. 600?
600.
I don't believe that, but I guess you never know. They're NFL athletes. But no, I don't.
Well, that's actually a good point. You have to assume, dude, NFL athletes, they all better be benching and squatting 600 pounds. Like,
I know. If Kenneth Gainwell's doing it, that's
he would be. Yeah, he would be kind of epitomizing an NFL player, but I kind of expect that from all NFL players. So is it really that impressive that Saquon Barkley can do that? The more I think about it, if you're in the NFL, I kind of expect you to do that.
I mean, it is impressive, no doubt. But yeah, you're right. It's like the context of the athletes that they play with.
Yeah.
It's just shocking to me that Gainwell can. if that's Saquon's limit as well, because Saquon has like tree trunks for thighs.
Yeah. How old is Saquon?
I don't think he's that
I'm
old. I
upset
think
with
he's like
age.
26,
He's 27.
27.
Kenneth Gainwell, 25. I just populated your brain with useless knowledge. Kenneth Gainwell is 25 years old.
I
Kenneth
appreciate
Gainwell is
it.
25 years old. Okay, so that's all the games, dude. Baltimore won 30-23. And most importantly, I won my fantasy matchup. Or you viewers. Walked away with a dub.
Good job.
But yeah, dude. I think that's pretty much everyone. We didn't talk really about the Broncos Raiders. We just know that Bo Nix had another great game, and they it was kind of close for a little bit, but for the most part, the Broncos were dominant again, and they're now 7-5. They might be going on bye now. But yeah, man. That's pretty much it. Anything else you want to add? Anything that was on your notes you wanted to bring up?
No, I think that's all I got. I'm excited to get the Bengals back next week and have Thanksgiving.
Yeah, man. Oh, I have some more notes. Okay, I'll be quick.
Okay.
So we didn't talk a whole lot about the Bears in that game in particular. Kyrie Santos, the kicker, he got blocked twice in that game. Got me thinking. Since 1995, I looked the stat up. There have only been 4 games decided by a blocked field goal attempt under 50 yards. 2 of those have come in the last 2 weeks of this NFL season. We've had a slew of blocked kicks, and if it feels like we've had a lot, it's because it is.
We've
had a lot of blocked kicks.
Yeah, I actually did think I saw one of the block kicks in that game, and I thought exactly that. Like, what's going on?
Dude,
There
what
is an
going
epidemic.
on?
I don't know.
Is everyone just figured out how to block kicks now, or is all the kickers suddenly bad?
I think it's that, and I don't know why.
Kicking too low.
I need to read more of Malcolm Gladwell's book to understand this kicker epidemic.
Another random fact. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Detroit Lions are combined 16-0 since losing to Tampa Bay. They're the good luck Chuck of the NFL, Tampa Bay.
That's fun.
So really, Tampa Bay needs to lose. They need to beat Kansas City and the Bills, and then we got ourselves our final 4 locked up: Philly and Detroit and Kansas City and Buffalo. What do you think?
Yeah, those are some A-listers right there.
All right, that's enough. A little humor you with. Let's go to your corner, dude. What's going on? What's up with you, man?
Well, I've been thinking lately that I've spent way too much time watching football and just staying at home generally. So we moved here early September. Been almost 3 months now, and it feels like we're pretty much adjusted now. So I think I should go ahead and try to get out more. Maybe try to meet some people. Dare I say? So on that note, I still haven't done it really, but I've been looking into either some kind of physical activity to do, which I'm not doing enough of anymore. So I need to fix that. And or look into like a chess club. When I was in Austin last year, I would occasionally go to Peace Park and play some blitz tournaments with these randoms, which is really fun.
Oh, cool.
Good time. Yeah. And it turns out there's a climbing gym here in Detroit called Dino Detroit Climbing that has chess games, I think the first Friday of every month. So yeah. So I'm planning on going this weekend on Saturday, and I'm saying it here to hold myself accountable. So yeah, this weekend I'll be climbing, not chessing because it's not the first Friday of the month, but I guess it's the day after. Maybe I'll go Friday. I don't know. But yeah, when I was in San Antonio, I moved everywhere. I was climbing really consistently, and I would say, fairly good at climbing, and I haven't really done it since. So I want to pick that back up, and I still got my shoes and chalk. So just need the membership. So that's what I'm doing this Thanksgiving weekend, other than eating and watching football. And also, it's the chess world championship just started today. Ding Liren versus Gukesh D. I actually don't know how to pronounce his first name, or if it's his last name. I'm not sure. He goes by Gukesh, and the defending world champion is Ding Liren, who's Chinese. So I'll be keeping tabs on that. Yeah, I love chess, by the way. So.
All right. If look, I don't know anything about chess. All right. So can you give me your best estimation of the betting favorites of the competitors this weekend?
All right. So I got to tell you the format first. So chess, you got to understand, is medieval, both literally and also like in the way it's formatted.
Okay.
So there is always a person with the belt, basically, the world champion, right? And the way it works is that world champion effectively has the rights to an automatic berth to the world chess title. So it's not like a tournament, really. There is a tournament to determine like the challenger. It's called the Candidates Tournament. That was earlier this year. And Gukesh, who's Indian, won that tournament. And he's really young. So he was like, it was a kind of a surprise that he won, but
is he like 4 in the chess world? That's what young is.
No. Well, there are prodigies like that, but no, for like when you're talking about like the very best, they're still generally adults. So I think the youngest the Candidates tournament was like 18 or 19. And Gukesh is like 19 or 20 maybe. So that's still really young. But for the longest time, it's been Magnus Carlsen. That may sound familiar to you, that name?
That does sound familiar to me.
Yeah.
That's the
he's
casual where I am.
Right. So he's very famous and still the best player in the world, actually. Magnus is really not even a question.
But not the betting favorite this weekend, you'd say.
Well, because he's not competing. So he pretty much conceded the world title because he got bored, which is kind of funny.
What?
Yeah. So I know. So he won, I don't know if it was 4 or 5 consecutive world championship matches. And the last one came 2021 against Jan Nepomniachtchi, who's Russian. And he's never even like been in a close match at these world titles, right?
Well, okay.
So he's dominated every single match he's played in since he like first won the Candidates tournament when he was like 18 or 19. And it's kind of boring because in chess, that's generally the way it's worked for like the last half century, is like there's a clear best player. Maybe there's another player who's like close to him. In Magnus's case, there just happened to not really be a worthy challenger. So now that he's not retired from the game, but he's retired from like the official world title. Because of that, it's like kind of been open. So Ding Liren was the first one who won after Magnus retired from that, and now he's defending his title for the first time. And so now it's kind of, honestly, it's like interesting now because Magnus isn't playing, and it can really go anyway. But anyway, all that to say, Gukesh is actually by far the betting favorite. Ding Liren has,
much.
Yeah.
Even
So
though he's
Ding
not
Liren
the
has just
defending
been,
champ.
yeah, even though Liren is defending, he's just been in a really bad stretch this year. He hasn't won many games. And yet today was the first match, today was the first game of the match. It's a 14-game match. And Ding played with black to start. And so at this level, when everyone's like a super grandmaster, literally that's what it's called. Playing with black is like you're just hoping for a draw because that's how chess works.
Really? Wow, it's that lopsided?
Generally, yeah, it's a big advantage to play white. Unless you're playing like blitz. In that case, like it's a different game. But classical chess, like 2 evenly matched players with that much time to think, generally white's just going to start off with a huge advantage. And yet today in the first game, Ding Liren won the first game with the black pieces. even
Starting
though
off
he's the
strong.
underdog. Yeah, so he started off on
I'll
a great
probably
foot.
fade him at this point. He starts off strong. I,
Yeah,
I think it's a good spot to fade him.
that's what a lot of people are saying actually. But I don't know. I'm kind of cheering for him. He's had
Oh,
some mental health issues, and I like
oh.
Gukesh as well. But I think Ding's cool, so I'm excited to watch it play out. But also, yeah, I'm gonna go climbing this weekend. So that's my corner and Thanksgiving.
Nice. That was fun. I just learned a lot more about chess. That was dope.
What's going on in
And
your world?
well, maybe I'll be a degenerate and go find an opportunity to bet on chess now that I have the inside scoop. My corner had a busy weekend. So I went to a wedding and I went to his wedding.
Nice.
You know this, right?
I do.
That was fun. That was a good time. I'm grateful to be invited. I heard a story. Augie was there. My friend Augie. He told me the story about. So this is really not my story. It's kind of his story. Him and Aaron and Freddie were all running somewhere along Burnett Road in Austin, right? And they were just jogging together, and they're passing by Hat Creek, the hamburger place. Oh my gosh, sorry. And there's like this homeless person that was, I think, catcalling Aaron, and he says something like, "Come here," I don't know, something instigating,
Obscene.
and
Okay.
it doesn't take much to instigate Freddie. And what he does is he immediately turns around and he says, "Hey, shut the fuck up," like in a very like confrontational way. And then he continues running. He's, like 100 feet away or something. Well, this homeless guy starts to chase Freddie, and I believe he's running with Aaron. So he's a similar distance away, but Augie is slightly behind them and puts himself in between this person and Freddie and Aaron. And long story short, this homeless person was like, I'm going to shoot that motherfucker in the face. So Augie thought he had a gun. So Freddie and Aaron are running away from them. And Augie is just like, how do I apprehend this suspect? He never actually saw a gun, but ultimately he kept he separated this person from Freddie and called 911 to report this person. But then in the middle of that, and I know Augie's gonna eventually come and correct us on the story, but at some point he eventually starts chasing Freddie again amidst Augie trying to separate them. And he's just like booking it. And once Augie clarified to him, like, hey, I'm calling the cops, this homeless person yells out, like, oh, pussy. As to say, like, you won't challenge me without the cops. And ultimately, this person runs away and nobody was shot in the face.
Well, that's good.
Yes. But yeah, that happened. It's not my story, but pretty funny to see that happen or hear about that happen at the wedding.
That sounds a little frightening.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Not worth it
okay.
to instigate random people, folks.
No, right? I'm assuming. Yeah. Sorry to
Damn,
drop
name drop on a pod.
Fred.
Come
yeah.
on, man.
Wait, hey, you brought it up. Sorry, Fred.
Well, you did the full name. I'm gonna have to edit you out. No, I'm kidding.
Sorry. I just wanted to verify that this is the Freddie that I know.
Yes.
Freddie's well-intentioned, obviously, wanting to protect Aaron, but I generally don't think it's a good idea to engage with crazed homeless people. But wait, do you know what Augie did exactly to, what did you say, apprehend?
He put his hands on him at some point, and he was like, "Don't touch me. Don't get in my space."
That sounds scary. I've been reading some bad things on r/Austin regarding the homeless population.
Oh, don't do that. Don't go on
I
the
know.
internet.
I know. I'm considering unsubbing from that. It's kind of a cesspool.
No, just don't go on the internet at all.
Oh,
Just
really?
avoid it. Yeah, you're better
Alright.
off.
Yeah, that's fair.
Life advice from Eddie: don't mix it up with randoms. Life advice from me: just don't go on the internet. I mean, listen to this pod, but don't go on the internet. Otherwise,
That's actually pretty good advice. I think that's a good way to live.
the only thing you really need to consume is this podcast. Don't you think?
Best part of the internet.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for my corner. Looking forward to this week. Eddie, I'm thankful for you. And I hope you have an awesome Thanksgiving. I hope everybody does.
Likewise, my friend. Enjoy your food. Enjoy your friends and family. Tell Fan I said hello.
I will let him know. He will be overjoyed. He won't know why, but he will be overjoyed.
Give him some butt slaps for me.
Oh yeah, you know he loves a good butt slap. Don't we all? I know
How could you
do.
not?
Yeah. Do the same for Luna.
I will.
All right, man. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Adios.
Vaya con Dios.